is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Hope it was a good weekend, everybody. Not bad for me.
Yeah.
Had a birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday.
I think we're getting some messages on our YouTube channel giving me a belated birthday.
Getting close to 50 now.
Greg Soames
You?
says,
Kipper?
happy belated birthday. 57 is a big number. That's what I just read.
He just knew it, huh? I guess you can Google your
Hey.
age. There's no...
Hey, Greg. Scram beat it, Greg.
You didn't mention it at all on Friday or at all. And then that was two times.
You let them slip away.
That was Bourne went through his 40th and didn't mention to us at all. We got through the whole day, didn't we?
Yeah, I didn't have to run through the gauntlet. Do you ever do that when you're on your hockey teams? Like it's your birthday and the team make you skate through a gauntlet or anything on the ice?
No, but we didn't also had that chain after a goal scored to the bench to high-five everybody. And
You guys just went and lined up again like soccer players, eh? That's great. No wonder games were faster.
just act like you've been there before.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, actually. It's interesting, like, if you just went and lined up again. Would it be the worst thing?
I don't mind the flyby.
I don't either.
All right, we got plenty to jam into the next hour in our summer edition. I'm Nick Kypreos. He's JB Bourne or JB.
Yeah, whatever.
Derek
Call me Jason if you
Brandale,
like.
Jennifer Rolnick, and Sammy McKee. We got the NHL final that kicked off Saturday night. We've got some news and notes around the league, including a coaching conversation. Where do you want to start, JB?
Well, do you want to start the Stanley Cup final or the Memorial Cup?
Well, if we go to the Memorial Cup, you know where that's going to lead to.
I do.
Patrick Roy,
Yeah.
and then it's going to lead to the coaches.
Right.
So, do we want to just
Let's talk coaches.
let's
That's juicy.
let's go coaches right away?
Yeah,
because
I
we
mean-
do have someone I've been familiar with a few years ago named Darren Millard.
Yes.
He's in Vegas now. I want to ask him, is it too early for him to size up his Stanley Cup ring, or
Would he get one, do you think?
I would imagine.
you kidding me?
Yeah.
He didn't move to Vegas to not get one.
Right. Right. That's great.
Well, we'll talk to Darren Millard, get his thoughts on the Stanley Cup final. He is now host of the Vegas Golden Knights TV broadcast. Has a terrific podcast called The Chirp as well. So we're looking forward to Darren Millard in about 18 minutes. But okay, so if we're going to have a conversation on coaches, let's go right to the Sheldon Keefe conversation.
Okay.
Last week I wrote about the thoughts of him coming back. Would not be without a contract extension. I think Elliot went on the other night and followed that up. The sense is, guys, everybody's on board with a contract extension.
Oh, you mean within the organization or within Leafs Nation?
Sammy, share your little detail.
Yeah, okay.
You want me to?
Listen,
Yeah, I
a
do.
contract extension for Sheldon Keefe coming back for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's get everyone's thoughts out.
To me, you absolutely cannot extend him. Like if I'm on the board of MLSC and I'm talking with the new general manager, Brad Treliving, and I'm saying, hey, like, you're going to extend Keefe. Okay. But what if you don't like what he's doing halfway through this year? So we're going to pay him this amount of money, and then halfway through this year, we're going to fire him, and we're going to have to pay him anyway. Like, he doesn't, in my mind, he doesn't have enough, clout and experience. Like, he's been in the league, I guess, 3 years now? Like, sorry, bud, this is going to be a lame duck season for you. If you want to come back, you're going into your last year.
So get rid of him. If Sam says get rid of him. No, JB?
Well, I know he put up a poll today of
Yes.
about 1,000 people voted in on Leafs Nation fans. Do you want him back? And I think no
We're
was...
at 68% of people say they do not want Sheldon Keefe.
Here's
back.
my thing with Keefe. I think he is a good coach, an NHL coach. I think he's, I enjoyed working with him. I think he is very capable of coaching a team to a Stanley Cup championship. I also think that he is a Dubas guy. And if the Leafs are turning the page on the Dubas era and saying, okay, that just didn't work, we're getting away from that whole thing, I think it's really strange to
just move on.
have Dubas leave and keep a guy who believes everything that Dubas believed. And, and kind of have one foot in the door, and to your point, extend him and Saravalli, and it's not coming from nowhere. that the extension rumor. So to me, it's just a strange fit, and I can see it going where Sam is talking about, where you go, oh, no, he's paying for a guy not to coach here if you don't like how it's going.
Great points.
Thank you.
Pick one.
Of my points?
You want him to coach the Leafs to a Stanley Cup final, or you want to get rid of him because he's a Dubas guy? Give me one or the other, but don't give me both sides.
I will tell you, if it were me, and so it's just really hard for me to say because I like him and he's a friend. I would be moving on.
You wouldn't extend him.
I would not extend him.
Okay, so that's 2 non-extensions.
And if you wanted to go into the year with him to evaluate, maybe you can extend him in December if you like.
No.
Well, what do you mean no? If they're in first place and playing great and it's all working, yes.
Guess what? We've seen him play great and be in first place for 3 years.
If there's nothing you can do to keep people happy, you're in trouble as a coach.
I just think that it is not that black and white when it comes to keeping him or getting rid of him.
I just like to clarify the Leafs have never won their division under these guys. Carry on.
And if you do get rid of him, for all the great points that you made, who's coming in? Like, if I cannot feel 100% on the guy moving forward and I'm just doing it for the sake of Sammy, it's not the right decision.
Okay, if there's still Gallant and Vigneault out there, I think both are good coaches.
How about Laviolette?
That's the name I meant, not Vigneault. I wanted, Gallant or Laviolette. Those to me are two established guys who can dig in a little harder than Sheldon has in the past. That could be a bit of a cultural reset, who can handle Toronto media, experienced guys. They want an experience in the GM. I don't see it being a bad thing for a coach either. But yeah, you're going to have to pay one of those guys, whatever, 4.5 a year. 4. Who cares?
The other point that I made last week when I wrote my article was, Sammy, now listen carefully, okay? If you send Sheldon Keefe into a Maple Leaf dressing room without a contract, the players will look at you like you got 3 heads. Are you following me here? There is a lack of respect.
I 100% get that perspective.
If you are not good enough in the eyes of our management, then they're going to look at you like you're not good enough for us.
Yeah,
you're right, Kip.
That's a great point. And I can't disagree with it. So then I guess the number one thing is there's two choices like we've been talking about, and it's extend or bye-bye.
And to me, extension feels like we don't have the time to make the right decision here. Or we don't have the time to make the decision we want, so we're just going to extend. Like, to me, I understand the idea that there's no one else out there, but there are other people out there. And hey, maybe Tree Living is a guy who's like, I don't particularly care for Gallant or for Laviolette. I've also seen, I know Chris Versteeg went on Bunk's show this morning and said Patrick Waugh is an interesting name.
Ramparts
so for
with
me,
the Memorial Cup win led by Patrick Waugh last night. And
I don't know if you guys guarantee you didn't watch any of it, but that was a ass kicking. That was not close. Outclassed big time the Ramparts and the Seattle Thunderbirds. Well, they weren't on the same ice surface. Anyways, continue.
Yeah. Here's my thing with Waugh. He is too much. You know what I mean? He is a big personality and an ego. He is Mike Babcock 2.0 here in Toronto, where it's just, this is not a place where you need your head coach making stories. And to me, he's a guy who cannot avoid that. He can't tell a lie. He is the truth teller, and that's dangerous in this media environment.
Why is it so dangerous? Maybe that would be refreshing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's a lot.
Maybe a little truth serum would be the best thing for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
That would be fascinating.
By a guy.
Listen, for this show's sake, oh my God, bring us Patrick Waugh.
Kippers Clippers featuring Patrick Waugh would be the most electrifying thing on earth.
By a guy who knows how to win.
He's a winner. He is a winner. Yeah, I understand all those things, and you shouldn't disqualify a guy. I really like the idea of a big personality in a small market, someone who's won like Babcock to Columbus. Love that for Columbus. You can sit there at the, IHOP with the fan base and be like, I've won a Stanley Cup. I've been there.
That's dangerous too. You know that, right?
Why is that?
Because you're not supposed to be the biggest star on the team.
No, but
The
it's a place
players are.
No, but you need stars there. Some stars.
Yeah, they had John Tortorella. He was the biggest star there. How'd that turn out?
Well, yeah, he's a different type of star, isn't he?
Really?
He's pretty.
No. When your egos are that big, you are.
Yeah. Okay, you can put those guys in the same group for sure. Waugh is in that group.
Is that what Columbus is trying to do with Babcock right now? Is turn him into
They had
the
no
face?
juice there. They had no juice with a first-time coach. I actually just, Cronin just signed with Anaheim, and I was like, I just feel like in those small markets, you could just inject some life with a big name and a big personality and all that. I like that for Columbus. Here, I don't know. Someone who...
I'm surprised.
At me?
No.
Oh, that.
Yeah, you surprise me a lot sometimes. And I have to bite my lip a few times.
That Babs is back?
Yeah, no, not back.
Okay.
Back to Columbus. Because this guy was all about original six, and we know how he kind of played and manipulated Buffalo just to get to Toronto. That's when you had some serious juice.
Yeah.
Didn't we, if I can recall, Sammy, maybe you can help me out here, but wasn't there like live shots of MLSE's plane maybe going to get Babcock?
Yeah. No, it wasn't live shots. It was people tracking the plane.
Oh, they were tracking the plane.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. They did the same with Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah. So that's the type of attention it garnered, and that's the type of attention that Babcock loved.
Yeah.
And that stroked the ego.
Sure.
I'm not sure if there's any flight recordings or notifications coming out of Columbus.
It's also one of the 32 teams in the league, and the University of Saskatchewan Huskies are not. So I have a feeling for Babs, there was some appeal to getting back into the league before it's irrelevant. His contract's up, right? Was about to start making $0 and no cents.
Can we talk about this? Like, I am incredibly fascinated to see what Mike Babcock we're going to get here.
I got two things to say on Babs. One of them is that...
Like, can you teach an old dog new tricks?
Do you need to teach him new tricks?
Is he smart enough to realize that he needs new tricks?
Does he need new tricks?
I think he does need new tricks.
I want to say two things. I am sensitive to the way that Babcock's reputation was damaged here as someone who was hard on players or hurt their egos. Johan Franzen.
Let's not forget. Yeah, Franzen really poured gasoline on the fire on that story.
Franzen had a hard time with them, and then there was one or two stories here, the Mitch thing, whatever. But the other part of that is that Babs has been validated by basically everything he said that the team should do here. Everything structurally, whether it's starting on time, how they should play, north-south, playing fast, all the things. Keefe and Dubas came in and changed and eventually went back to everything Babs wanted. So I think he's kind of been validated as a coach. That's separate from how you feel about him as a person. People vary on that. But as a coach, I feel like he's been validated.
So what you're saying is Leaf should have rehired Babs.
I am not saying that.
Similar situations in terms of the reputation for being hard asses or tough on players or holding them accountable is Babcock and Patrick Waugh. Mm-hmm. They come back. Well, we don't know if Patrick's going to end up back in the National Hockey League. If he does, both have had ample time away.
Yeah, that's true.
To come back and revisit all of the things that made them successful. And in this instance, for Patrick Waugh, was a short stint in Colorado, which garnered him Coach of the Year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And then egos buried both of them.
Yes, for sure. That's hubris, pride goes before the fall, whatever you want to call it. It's they both wanted more and too much and fell because of it. But so interesting to see what a second round looks like.
The Babcock would go to Columbus and feel like that I can help and make a difference in that market. As we know, there's a big difference between winning a cup with an original six team than it would be Columbus or Carolina. But the mere fact that he'd be willing now to go to Columbus, which he would never have entertained 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
Never.
No.
Columbus. Are they in the league?
Yeah.
Is the type of answer maybe Babcock would have come up with 5 or 6 years ago. So I think it's a good sign for Babcock that he would want to go to a place like Columbus.
True. Yeah.
And the other good sign for even Patrick Roy is the fact that he had great success in Colorado. It ended poorly for whatever reason, personal conflict, didn't have enough say in player personnel.
Yeah.
He clashed with McFarland, who was this young, next wave type of guy, much like Kyle Dubas. And then he goes back to junior for the next 5 years. That says a lot to me, that he was willing to not feel like he needed a huge spotlight on him at the pro level, willing to go back, spend time with kids, and then to watch him celebrate last night on the ice with his players. And I think it speaks to maybe just a better place that Patrick Roy is in right now
For sure.
than what we've seen in the past.
And what an education that would be, watching young players and the way they play, getting a better sense for how these kids are. You really connect with, as a junior player, you're around your coach every day. Like, they're in the same room as you by and large, not too far away anyway. It's a lot of time together on buses, hotels, a little different separation level at the NHL. So I bet this has been good for Roy. Are you saying that you could see him as a candidate in Toronto?
Yes, I do. I see him.
Yes,
Yes, I do.
I love it. I do feel that if you could have flipped the scripts on when the Leafs hired a Babcock Roy type, they would have done it in reverse order with Keefe. Like where it's like, now is the time to hire this guy.
Yeah.
Right? Is it not?
Well, I don't know. Then the idea was to get those guys playing 200 feet.
Yeah,
you got Mitch and Austin, both Selke Trophy nominees every year.
I think this is the time for one of those short window, hard ass coaches to try to push this team over the top.
I think there's bigger fish to fry for the Leafs. And even if you are Patrick Roy or Laviolette or anyone that's had success in the past, like, hey, get your crap in order first and then come talk to me.
Right.
Who's here? Who's not? Who you trading? Who's not? Who's your goalie? Who's not?
Mm-hmm.
There's bigger questions right now. I don't even think they'd be in a position right now to go shop for a coach until they had some answers for them on what the next 2 or 3 years might look like.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're an elite coaching candidate, someone who's done it for years, big name.
But when you had the lack of success the Leafs have had with all that talent, like there's no stone that you should like not turn over.
Yeah.
And that includes everyone and anything moving forward to make your team better. They should talk to Patrick Roy. Just have a conversation with him. Bring him in.
Do you care that he's a Montreal guy here in Toronto?
Come on. We wouldn't love Patrick Roy going to Montreal on a Saturday night as a Leaf.
Oh, my God.
Come on.
If Patrick Roy lifted the Stanley Cup above his head as the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs, there's nothing that would make me
makes
happier.
every game
He's ours now.
a
We
lot
stole Patrick Roy
more
from you.
interesting.
Well, he does. Hey, I love it from an entertainment standpoint.
If you can have a conversation with him, you could speak to him for a minute and a half and go, oh my God, I got to stay away from this guy.
Yeah.
I can tell already he wants to come in and run the whole show.
Yeah.
And then that's it. You're done with it. Or you can sit there and hear him say, I just want to coach. I just want to coach. That's all. I love coaching. I'm a coach. I want to coach.
Yeah. You guys got some great players. I got some ideas.
See what he says.
Yeah. I got some ideas. I'm going to play Marner and Matthews 29 minutes a night.
And Brad Treliving.
Hold on, have you guys played Marner and Matthews together?
Have you tried this?
Brad Treliving strikes me as a guy that would be open to doing his homework and having an open mind on moving forward.
Hey, how wild is it that Johnny Gaudreau was like, get me out of Calgary and Daryl Sutter. I do not want to coach like this. And they're like,
hold on for a second.
Here's Babcock.
Yeah, like you just signed Johnny Hockey to this mammoth contract. How does he feel right now?
Bad.
Thinking about Babcock's reputation. And you don't have to go too far to pick up the phone and find someone that had him as a coach and hear stories.
Oh, yeah.
Because that happens all the time, as we know, in our world.
Yeah. He coached in different era in terms of leaning on players, and maybe he's changed. Maybe some time with the university team helped him in that regard. Maybe the way it ended here. Either way, can we get some Babs clips once in a while? Every time Columbus is in town, can we get him on our airwaves? That would be lovely.
Good player.
Yeah.
He's a good player.
Good player. Start on time.
Start on time. Good player. All right, we got Darren Millard coming momentarily as Sam tracks him down. Probably, would he be at, like, walking the halls of the casino?
And he just goes to the blackjack table between
David
games.
Amber is right now, or Elliot.
Is he their card players?
I sat at the craps table when we covered Vegas and Washington in the Stanley Cup final, and I told you I had the dice for about an hour.
I see. That's elite. But I wish I were there because I do play cards. I do like a little bit of.
You do, eh?
I like to sit at the tables a bit. I wish I was there. Maybe not great place temptation wise for someone like myself.
Are you really disciplined to say if I've lost this amount of money, then I'm done. I'm getting up.
Yep, I don't have enough money to lose it.
Speaking of gambling, Darren Millard packs up and goes to Vegas, cover the Vegas team, who is now in the second Stanley Cup final. And Mallard, the gamble's paid off for you right now because you're 3 wins away from getting a Stanley Cup ring.
All in, buddy. All in.
How are you?
I'm good. It's you've been through it before as a player. You've been through this situation. I've never worked on the team side until I moved to Vegas, and they've been close a couple of times. But I'm not in the heat of the battle like a player would be, and you guys are so familiar with that. But even just from arm's length as a broadcaster working for the team and being part of the organization, it's giddy. It's totally you live and die with wins, and then you get to this stage and you start thinking about it and different possibilities, and it's surreal. Jen worked for the Toronto Maple Leafs, my wife, for 15 years, and I watched it from that point of view. But they never got close. Now this is 3 wins away from the ultimate glory. It's wild.
That's pretty awesome. There's a number of reasons, that the team has done so well and why they are where they are. We've been talking about Conn Smythe odds a little bit on this show.
Yeah.
Where do you have things right now? Is it a goaltending thing? You got a forward, a D-man? What are you thinking so far for if Vegas does get it done?
Well, I had 5 guys, and 5 guys deep is unusual going into a final from one team. But that just sums up the way that they approach things with their depth and rolling the 4 lines and their 3 pairs on the blue line. But I went with Jack Eichel as my favorite because of the story, and he leads the team in points too. But the story is a big part of things when you get to this stage and what he's been through. And I have William Karlsson because of his impact on the game. Now you got to watch a little bit closer for William. He's produced goals and he's been involved in the offense more so than he has in the last couple of years, and he's really resurrected that part of his game. But his overall ability to match up against the McDavids or Draisaitl's or Rupe Hens through these playoffs have been awesome. And then I went Marchessault, Stone, and Stevenson. That's the 5 guys, and I went all forwards with my top 5. As good as they are in the back end, they're so balanced, and I just have trouble putting a goaltender in there when you've only played you missed a round. It's been impactful, but not a story for this team. So I went all forwards with Eichel leading the way.
Yeah, there's no question that Hill would have to have an incredible run, and they do value a final a lot more than they do the rest of the rounds. If you could,
yes,
and that shouldn't be lost here. And there is a lot of hockey to be played still in this series with just one under both teams' belt. And there's no question with Florida, we only look at 2 guys, Tkachuk and Bobrovsky. But I'm surprised you didn't put Pietrangelo in there because he is a guy that just commands so much respect out there. And I really thought, and we saw it, we've covered Pietrangelo with his run with St. Louis, but there's something that happened in that Edmonton series that showed me this other side to Pietrangelo that, for me, took him to another level.
And I'll go back a series against the Winnipeg Jets. He took a penalty in Game 2, but it sent a message to the Winnipeg Jets. They were able to kill that penalty off in Game 2, and they turned that game around after a not very effective first period. And they could have been on 2-0 in that series. And Brossoit was great in the first period of Game 2, and Pietrangelo didn't snap, but stood up to Winnipeg and sent a message to everybody in the building, and then did the same thing after being targeted, certainly the focus of the Edmonton Oilers, and sent a message with that slash and along with his play. And he's been really effective. But nobody really stands out on that blue line. Alec Martinez is one of the greatest players that you're going to see from a consistency basis. Love Braden McNabb. And their third pairing, you guys, Nick Hague and Zach Whitecloud, is as good a third pairing as you're going to find in the National Hockey League. So I don't disagree with you on Pietrangelo. It's just that they're so balanced back there, and it's just such a unique group that it's hard to put one guy over the other, because I feel like I'm almost slighting somebody else. And now Shea Theodore looks like he's finding his game.
So the Florida, I want to say bread and butter so far has just been forecheck hard, play physical, and get unbelievable goaltending. Vegas seems pretty well equipped to handle some of the forecheck with D-men that break the puck out really well. What are your thoughts on getting to Bobrovsky and, his performance in Game 1? This could be kind of an opening that maybe some other teams didn't see.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised at it, to be honest, given the extensive delay and jumping right back into a final. I thought they were really going to be challenged, whether it's Bobrovsky trying to continue that strong play out of his rhythm and jumping into a Stanley Cup final, or the team game trying to resurrect their flow. That Game 1 was a real uphill battle for the Florida Panthers. And that's why I also put it as a major important factor for Vegas to be able to take advantage of that and win that game. I think tonight is going to be drastically different from both sides. Let's see if Florida continues the after the whistle stuff. They love it. I enjoy it, but it dragged that game on for certainly a while the other night. And if the referees are going to start taking guys out from that, you can't afford to put yourself. Not that Vegas is lights out on the power play, but it just costs you attack time in a game. So we'll see if the power plays end up as lopsided as they were the other night, because Vegas doesn't take a lot of penalties themselves, and if they continue to call it like that, then Florida may have to adjust their after the whistle kerfuffle and shenanigans.
Just want to revisit a little bit of this kind of goaltending carousel the last few years, and there's no question that Marc-Andre Fleury was the face of this franchise to get them out of the gate. Yeah. Then they make this bold move to go get Robin Lehner, which, again, people were like scratching their heads. Now you're in deep for like millions of dollars. And let me get this straight. They're 3 wins away from having like nobodies in net, that there's no money on the cap left on all of them. Brossoit was the guy that we thought we'd kind of maybe not get them there. And then Aiden Hill comes out of nowhere and does. Does any of this make sense to you?
Well, not in a traditional approach. You went through it when you won your cup. You had a stud, and it's followed through. I was talking to somebody the other day. That's an old Doug McLean line. I was talking to a guy the other day. Is this the most unexpected goaltending performance by a team in recent memory? Like Matt Murray seemed to come out of nowhere with Pittsburgh. We've seen goaltenders shuffle that Cam Ward back in the day, but he was a top prospect. But this is bizarre. And Aiden Hill, the reason why they went out and got Aiden Hill was because Leonard came down with the double hip surgery in the summer, and after everything had kind of free agency had passed and there wasn't a lot left, and Sean Burke had a relationship with Aiden Hill and liked him. So Aiden was the backup for most of the season. And now people call him the 4th string goaltender because he wasn't the starter in the playoffs and revolved with the backup role with Jonathan Quick, and now he's the guy. Like and you're right. There's no cash in there. The highest payroll guy is Jonathan Quick, and he's your backup because you've gone 4 deep right now, 5 deep if you consider Robin Leonard. It's surreal. At times I have trouble getting my head around it. Like, who is really the backup? Who's the fourth stringer? Where does Aiden Hill fall into the pecking order? Like, what do we call him? But he's I tell you what, the guy battles. I think of him as a blocker. Always thought of him as a blocker. But his athletic ability and the talent level to be able to adjust and make desperation saves, we saw it in game number 1, and he's been able to do that. He's been really impressive. And the other part is they're all free agents, except for Logan Thompson, who signed for another 2 years. Everybody else is free agents, and maybe that's a little bit of motivation for everybody too.
I got one explanation that makes all of this make sense. Sean Burke.
What?
Sean Burke.
Yeah. So Berkey, I call him, and you basically grew up with Berkey. You know him very well. Berkey, I call him the goalie whisperer, and he's like, "Stop! I've tried my whole life to shed that because he is the goalie whisperer. Everywhere he goes, he is unbelievable at goaltending." Now, Sean has aspirations and always has. He's run Olympic teams. He's been GM of World Championship teams. He can do more beyond just goaltending. And we should recognize that. But there's nobody. I would put Bill Ranford and Sean Burke right up there at the top as being able to find goaltenders and not do overhauls with them, not be overly technical, but know exactly what to do with them and how to tweak them and make them into frontline goaltenders. And he's brilliant. And the dude's just a great guy. He is so positive and so much fun. I just love the guy. And we were talking earlier this year, and this is going to be a story. Get 2 seconds. Berkey was in an all-star game, I think, in 1989. And there's a picture of Gretzky and Mario Lemieux and a face-off. And all you see is Berkey's Hartford Whaler pads. And you don't see the top part of him, but he's like, I'm in an all-star game picture with Mario Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky. So we got him that picture off eBay. And as a commemorative thing. And then this morning I'm at breakfast and I get told about this great story involving Mary Lemieux and Doug McLean and Jack Armstrong. I'm with some PEI guys who are down, and they tell me this great story. Have you heard that story about Mario joining Doug on the golf course?
Yes, he's told that on our show. And
yeah.
he 5 times he's told us that.
I thought I'd heard all of Doug's stories. I'd never heard that story before.
What a small world.
Yes, yes. He was so proud of it, too.
But didn't he not know it was
and that Mario went up to him and went, Doug? Like, it wasn't Doug going up to Mario saying, Ace or Mario. It had to be Mario going up to Doug. And I don't know whether that's true or not, but it's a pretty neat story.
I think he's gotten more famous since he's been a regular on our Off the Rails Friday. That's what I think.
We're helping him out. So
Off the Rails Friday.
Yeah, that's our professionalism level right now.
And it's named after him.
Of course.
So Darren, what's the the energy there, like in Vegas, is always at a fervor, right? Like not just for hockey, but there's always stuff going on. Can you sense any palpable difference with this going on? You know, with the potential, would we see a parade down the strip if they win?
I'm been instructed that we don't talk about that. So I'm not going to go down that. And I'm superstitious, so I mean that would be.
It's a yes. You don't have to say anything.
They can follow the Formula One cars in November or October when they do that. But no, there's tons of energy. This place is rocking. They've always loved this team from day number one, and you would never be able to recognize this was a 60-year-old franchise. You look the T-shirts, license plates, all the ancillary things around town that come with a long-standing franchise. They have it, and it's rocking. The place I'm at for breakfast this morning, they're all wearing VGK paraphernalia, hats and shirts, and they're all excited. This town. The best part about the Vegas Golden Knights to Las Vegas, or Vegas as locals call them, is it's their team. It came in. It didn't exist before. They named it after the Golden Knights. with the Vegas instead of Las Vegas, because that's what locals call it. It's the 1 October tragedy bonded this team, but it is their team more than the Raiders, more than the baseball team will be, whatever they name that, more than the basketball team in a couple of years. It is their own franchise.
I got an idea for a Stanley Cup ring, a roulette wheel that you spin.
Oh my God, is that a good idea? That is such a good idea.
And then it's a puck.
Someone contact a jeweler immediately.
I know you don't want to talk about it because you don't want to jinx anything.
You know what I did think about when I first joined here, and there was deep runs in the first couple of years, and I allowed myself to think about that. One of my first thoughts was, how pissed off is Kyper going to be if I ever wear a ring? Like, this is like 2 years ago.
I got a problem with that. You and the team dentist. I have a problem with having Stanley Cup rings.
I actually was going to, after this interview, ask you about that.
Yeah.
Where you said it, because to be honest, it does feel a little.
We had this conversation before, and it was one of the first things I thought of. This was 2 years ago in the bubble when they had a really good team and they were on a roll. And I thought, Kyper would, like, I would have to reject it just to avoid Kyper's wrath.
No, don't do that.
I would have to reject it, and they would ask me, why would you do that? And I say, Kyper would never let me.
I'll make an exception for you, but not Gary Lawless.
No, I'm with you on that regard. I'm with you on that one.
Hey, have a blast the rest of the way, okay?
And I'm with you guys whenever you want to call. Give me a shout. Love hanging out with you guys. Kippy, I owe you, buddy.
All right, pal. Darren Millard, host of the Vegas Golden Knights TV broadcast and host of the Chirp podcast, doing a terrific job out there.
They're definitely waiting for him to hit his shot on the golf course. You hear someone swing in the background?
Yeah. I don't think, like...
He's out for breakfast.
I think...
Oh, is that what he's doing?
Yeah. He's out for
I thought for sure I heard contact.
The members who live and breathe, like, building a Stanley Cup team should be the only ones with rings.
So... You know, I say that with full respect to Darren, but like I don't really like it. You know, like Jack Edwards and Brick got Boston Bruins Cup rings or whatever. It's like,
at least Brick played.
I don't mind them
for the Bruins that won the cup.
No, but he played on the Bruins at least.
I'm fine with everyone who has a part in the success.
Alumni don't get Stanley Cup rings.
If you're stretching the groin of the players before the game, you're impacting the game. If you're filling the water bottles, you're impacting the game. If you're calling the game.
I'm okay
Slippery
with you
slope.
getting something else, even if it's a ring, it could look.
Let me tell you,
it could be something different.
The Islanders' wives every year got something. For their contribution to it, a smaller ring, 1 year a pendant, 1 year a bracelet, like something.
Which is nice.
Nice, but to me, to give the same thing, again, no disrespect, this is not about Millard specifically, but to give Millard the same thing as you're going to give Chandler Stevenson.
Yeah, is wrong.
It is.
Yeah, it cheapens his ring.
It does.
Nah.
Oh, 100.
I can't wait for my Stanley Cup ring when the Leafs win it.
Well, when I was with when I was with the Marlies, I was the video coach of the AHL team, and was told that I was one of the people who would qualify.
Nice.
Under Lou Lamoriello had the team won, and even then I was like, I can't do that. I can't show my dad. Had the Leafs won a cup, be like, AHL video coach, after he's been to war with the Flyers in 78 on his way through to winning his.
No, your guys are you're right.
You know what even irked me the most, and correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong.
You might be wrong.
I mean, did the Raptor fans have a chance to buy the same ring as the players?
No, but I have a Raptors replica ring.
Then I'm wrong. But sometimes that you do hear rumblings
you can get similar or whatever. Like this is the one the players got.
I think you could probably buy it.
Anyways, they should.
$500K, you could probably buy it.
I'm guessing that jeweler wouldn't mind. There's probably some infringement there. I doubt you could.
Oh.
Some sort of patent or copyright.
I'll just to kind of I never saw a Stanley Cup ring until I got to see Keith Acton's at a Philadelphia Flyer training camp when I was like 18 years old.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop thinking about it all day. It blew me away to see a Stanley Cup ring.
Now, do you think it's gotten too much?
I wear mine at special events, and
yours is peak era.
The first thing people want to say is I want to see it, and I take it off. I let them try it on. Actually,
wow.
And it just like It's like the holy
Showstopper.
grail for
Yeah.
them. They've never seen one before. So it hasn't changed over the years that the majority of people have never seen one up close before.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing I want to do is, either try it on or take a picture with it.
But like they're
holding it up.
unwearable now, Kip. They're
But
unwearable.
you need to clean them at the car wash.
I know. It's like, there's a level where it's not a ring now.
Kipper,
Now you've created something
Can
different.
you bring it in for us to see?
But they are
Okay.
they are so special.
on.
They are so special, and it is what the players live and dream
Yeah.
to have because
sure.
you can never take that away from them.
Yeah.
Couple questions off of that interview. First, a comment. Absolutely love that Millard would not talk about a Stanley Cup parade. That is superstitious brothers through and through. That is just great work by him.
He is.
Secondly-
he's a Knights nation, like
Yeah.
you are Leaf Nation.
100%. I would never even mention it, even if there are 3 wins away or 1 win away. The second thing is, can you further explain your roulette puck idea?
It's an amazing ring idea.
The ring.
The ring would have
Oh.
Ring. The face of the ring would be a roulette
spinner,
wheel,
like
and it would spin.
like a spree wells on your
Okay.
finger.
I think a slot machine would be too bulky.
That is such a niche reference.
That's
that no one's
very
gonna
like
get.
90s rap.
What'd you say?
Spree wells, like rims, the
Oh,
spinner rims
yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
So I thought when you mentioned, I thought you were talking about the parade. So I misheard you. I was like, what
No,
the
no,
hell
the
does a
ring.
roulette? Yeah. Okay.
But it has to be like full cheese Vegas stuff.
It does.
Like,
if
no
you're going to wear
question.
gold
Outside
fleck
of maybe
jerseys and a gold
an
helmet,
Elvis hairdo or something
if
on
you're
it.
Vegas, this ring is like Bill Foley's got to put that money back into the ring. He's got to have zero profit after this.
I will say, and I guess we'll get to a little bit in playoff picks, but
Yeah, we got to go.
I think this could be somewhat short.
Oh, you do, eh?
Yeah, I just
We'll find out tonight.
for sure. I also just quickly before we go to break here, wanted to mention Cole Caufield signing that contract. I thought we should have a quick discussion on that. We got about 3 minutes here.
Do we have 3 minutes?
60
Are we no break today?
No, we got to take a break and then
Yeah.
Okay.
we'll come back for 5 minutes. at the end.
$63 million deal,
8 years.
8 years, which matches Nick Suzuki, correct?
No, I think Suzuki's was more, wasn't it?
Please look.
Yeah, I
Because I know that they fought tooth and nail to have Cole Caufield not pass their captain. And I just wonder.
Suzuki's is exactly 7.875. I think that's exactly what Caufield's was,
And
right?
we had said that a long time ago that
$63
they
million
wanted their
contract.
captain to be the ceiling. And now
God, here we
their
go.
internal. Sorry?
Here we go.
Here we go.
What do you mean?
Oh,
you
here
know
we
what he
go.
means.
Come
It's
on.
a Leafs transition, and it's
Oh,
Buddy,
boy,
it
here we
works.
go.
It works. I'm telling you, they've got now an internal cap. Here are our 2 best players. This is what they make. Everybody back of the bus.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's where Kyle screwed it up.
Yeah.
And Lou wanted to do that with Marner and Matthews. Like Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves.
yeah, okay.
Same. And look at the mess they're in right now.
It's a dilly of a pickle.
You got anything to say about that? With your here we go?
No,
Do I make sense or do I not make sense?
I'm not even about you being critical of it because you're bang on. It just sucks. It sucks for Leafs fans that happened.
It's also like it's tough to do this in like 90 seconds. You know,
No,
like
it
with
just-
the
no, but, like,
history of the contract.
You're right. You're right. They did set a hard number, and it was Tavares, and that was the one that everyone was wanting to be around.
If Matthews is wearing the C,
But,
would it make you feel
I mean,
better about the situation?
Cole Caufield is awful. Also,
No, it has nothing to do with anything.
Your best player making the most money? They got their best player making the most money.
Caulfield is also not any of the Leafs 4 players. Like, he is clearly not as good as any of
You
them.
called that a bad deal before we went on air. Why?
Well, I just think if he ends up being a 40-goal scorer or a 50-goal scorer,
Yes.
it's a great deal for the Montreal Canadiens.
Great deal.
You've got this guy for 8 years when we think that the salary cap's going to blow off the roof in a few years.
I think in 4 years, Caufield's going to feel like Nate McKinnon and Brad
Yes.
Marchand and be like, what am I playing for 7-8 for when he gets 13?
But this is where
I'm not convinced.
This is where Jeff Gorton and Hughes have to, and any other, okay, let's use a Kyle Dubas term, progressive GM has to hedge. You have to take educated guesses now that Cole Caufield's going to be a 40-goal scorer. You don't think he's going to be a 40-goal scorer?
I think he's going to be that at least.
Where do you think he's
he scores
overrated,
50
Sammy?
next year.
He's just tiny and horrible defensively.
I think he's
And he's been hurt already a bunch
Elite
of times.
scorer.
Just score.
Yeah, no, he's
Shoot it-
Just
shoot
put the
it
puck in the net.
Yeah, if he plays 50 games a year because he's always hurt, perfect. he's tiny, boys.
But now-
I truly
No,
do.
yeah.
Now you've got only upside to surround Cole Caulfield with the money in a salary cap era.
that the Montreal Canadiens sit second on the salary
And,
cap for any right now is wild.
say what you will about Pierre Dorian.
A mess.
Pierre Dorian did the same thing in Ottawa, right? Locking those guys in at decent numbers, and now Ottawa should be okay now for the next
When they
5,
go
6,
Pierre
7
Dorian.
years.
Pierre Dorian was very loyal.
All right, let's go.
Okay, let's go to break. Back after these words, real Kyper and Bourne.
Caufield, Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
All right, it's time for playoff picks with our Sammy McKee.
All right, like you said, time for playoff picks presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds. So, a couple relevant things now. Game 2 tonight, correct? Florida Panthers to win this series from behind, which they are now behind. So, decent number on that if you think Florida's going to get back into it, plus 230. Not a great number, obviously, but I think before the series they're plus 115. So, if you still think they're going to win, it's a pretty good number.
Not for me, Kip.
On the other side of this, you can bet on the score for the series after 4 games. And to me, Vegas 4-0 pays plus 575.
Ooh.
And I got to be honest, after watching that game, I know Florida hung around in it, but Vegas is so much deeper.
Can I tell you the difference for me? Go ahead, Kip.
No, you go ahead first.
The difference for me is guys going back on the pucks are Alex Pietrangelo and Martinez and Whitecloud and Haig and these guys that make nice little plays. The forecheck from Florida doesn't have the same teeth that way.
A lot of these playoff picks have to do with goals. A lot of goals have to do with goaltending. I want to switch this to the conversation that we had a little bit with Darren Millard and Adin Hill. And where is he going the rest of this series? Can he close out on a $10 million goalie?
Yeah.
If he does, this soon-to-be 27-year-old unrestricted free agent. I'm coming to you, Sammy. You be ready on this one.
What?
Adin Hill, a Toronto Maple Leaf over Samsonov. Yes or no?
I don't know.
If he wins the Stanley Cup.
No.
I guess, yeah. Sure.
I will say that the numbers guys liked Adin Hill before this season.
Yeah, sure. Why not? He'll come here and crap the bed in a big game. That's just what happens.
This guy, eh?
Oh my God.
He's our Leafs
You
guy.
are
And one
like
last.
no fun, Sammy. Right
Well,
now.
no, listen. Sure, they could sign him. He'd be great. Or
Listen, short sample sizes here, but
Yeah.
like, what do you think if you're a general manager of a hockey team and you need goaltending help?
Yeah.
And Adin Hill closes this thing out. Where's he?
You know, he's
For you.
not that different than Samsonov. I will say, I watched that.
big at least 6'4", 215.
Yeah, I watched that first game, though. He kind of does that same thing Samsonov, like pushing out of the net, and like he's a little busy still. 27, he doesn't quite have the pedigree of Samsonov. I don't know that. The only thing is if he wins the Stanley Cup, then you go, okay, well, he's been there. But you did that with Matt Murray, so I don't know. I don't know. Do you know?
Mid. I just don't know whether or not he jumps up to become a guy that teams want or are willing to pay.
And last playoff pick, not hockey related, RBC Canadian Open this weekend. Rory, an overwhelming favorite at plus 450
He's won 2 of them, right?
in a row.
Sammy, you're going to be there?
I'm going to be there on Thursday. I will be at the show Thursday. I'm going to be there Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. If you see me, I love cold beer. So buy me one.
What a
I'm
hustler.
going to take it in on Sunday as well.
I'll be watching on the telly.
All right, listen, for all of you out there that have sent me belated birthday wishes, including you, Gary Soames, I told you to scram beat it. Thank you very much. It was a great birthday. We're back again tomorrow on The Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Have a great night, everybody. Enjoy Game 2.
At No Frills, temps are rising and prices are falling. The No Frills Hot Summer Sale is on now until June 7th with sizzling summer deals on hot summer items.